Howdy doody everybody, my name is KevGuuey and welcome to Companion. This is a story about a future before the stars are extinguished. A man who knows about the end and decides to live lavishly, and a girl who will turn his life upside down. Their story begins when she steps under his umbrella. Aww. I'm excited for this. Now, I have no idea what any of those words say. Well, it says me, wo, yi, and then I don't know. I know some Chinese. This is also a Chinese visual novel. Oh my gosh, Kevin, that's me! I didn't know I was gonna be in the game. What drink is that? Haiyan and Ying. Alright, well, I have no idea what any of that said. So without further ado, everybody, let's just start the game. Chapter 1. Scientists claim that all elements and conditions required for our universe to exist were already present just 1 second after the Big Bang. In other words, the environment in which all life would be born had already been created. Yes, created. In that very moment. But that was long ago. Ages came and passed, and people went about their repetitive everyday lives. Hey! Well, that's kinda true. Marking their waking hours were the gentle morning rays, the sizzling noon heat, and the dim, lonely sunset. Well, don't forget the very annoying alarm clock sound. Ooh, I like the transitions, like in the background. After, darkness would spread across the sky. Depending on the day of the month, the moon might show itself. Accompanying the darkness were the ever-present stars, beloved subjects for sleepless tale weavers. The skies in the east would then pale, and a new day would begin. The moon waxed full every 29 days. The tide came in every 12 hours. People worked for 5 days, rested for 2, and then worked again and then return again to work. Well, that's not for everyone. Life continued its drab, repetitive cycle like a wheel spinning in the mud. Yet, as suddenly as it had started, the cycle of the world came to a halt. Ooh. Rain filled the air, not the torrential kind of rain that poured in the streets, but the annoying, drizzling kind that was barely enough to wet the ground. The world was shrouded in a mist that was only rarely penetrated by the headlights of passing vehicles. Commuters' faces, already set in expressionless masks, were painted a pallid gray by the pale light of the street lamps overhead. Only the sweep of headlights provided a hint of color to those gaunt faces, but even those orange-yellow beams couldn't lift the night's dreary atmosphere. It was like a scene you could find in an old movie. Or any movie? Everyone knew where they were going except for me. It was as if society had forsaken me. Me? Kevin? No. Perhaps it was as if the gods had forsaken society. After all, if our history had been written by the gods, then what? But first, let me start from the Companion Star Project. It was a story from the days of my great-grandfather. Earth's resources were growing scarce, its living conditions harsh. In response, the world's superpowers launched several projects of an unprecedented nature. Kinda sounds like that movie, Interstellar. And one of those projects was the Companion Star Project. The plan was simple in theory. Experts would find a near-Earth asteroid with suitable conditions and with the use of engines slowly nudge it into a designated orbit. Wait, and near-Earth... They find a near-Earth asteroid? Even an asteroid that's near Earth or an asteroid that's kind of like Earth? But then wouldn't that be a planet? I don't understand. It was a plan that seemed destined to take many years to bring to fruition. Yet, due to international cooperation, was realized with surprising quickness. Well, yeah, international cooperation. My grandfather also played an important role in the Companion Star Project. He developed an algorithm to seek out undetected celestial bodies in outer space, thus helping the world discover many new asteroids. Everything was going according to plan. A group of courageous and highly skilled pioneers set off for the asteroid, carrying rich resources that allowed them to sustain themselves on their new home. Immigrants followed. Each group of immigrants brought with them many of Earth's precious resources, and those who were left behind felt that they had been abandoned. Well, I mean, yeah, that would kind of suck. Gradually, people came to distrust the Companion Star Project. Following several wars and plagues, those left on Earth no longer possessed the technology to communicate with its companion star, let alone to send people to its surface. Oh, now this reminds me of the movie Elysium. The companion star faded into obscurity, only rarely finding mention in research papers or reports. Until one day, when the astronomy research and observation team I was on suddenly noted that a small section of the sky seemed to be obscured from view every night. After close monitoring and laborious calculation, we finally concluded that the companion star story was the source of the obstruction. It seemed the original project's calculations had been flawed, and the companion star was now drifting closer to Earth. We no longer had the technology to correct its orbit, which could only mean one thing. This star that was supposed to be our companion would instead end up killing us. Oh, great. That's a great thing to have. Something that was supposed to help us, and then now it's going to come crashing down and destroy us? Oh, goody. Our current technology and resources just weren't sufficient to save us. No means remained to push away the star. The world's most affluent countries quickly resigned themselves to the eventual destruction of the Earth and began construction of underground shelters so that human life could be preserved. Wait. So we had the technology, right? We had the technology to build this companion star. We built this companion star, we had this technology, but then apparently people were very jealous of not being able to go up there, and then apparently there's plagues, but then there's wars that the jelly people, couldn't go up there and stuff, and then now we lost all kind of technology that we had before to make the companion star. Wow, Earth just went to poop. Like Noah's Ark, the shelters were exclusive to only those who knew of the impending disaster. Those select few would enter induced hibernation deep underground and slumber for many years until it was once again safe for them to return to the surface. So, like Fallout. But this companion star thing, how big is this? I mean, it seems pretty big if you can send people up there to, actually, live there. It seems really big. My team, in exchange for the privilege of entering the shelters, promised not to tell a soul of our discovery. Indeed, for the sake of maintaining order, everyone involved was asked to keep the operation secret. Those who refused to do so were held hostage. Well, yeah, I mean, that's a tough thing. I mean, you don't want to cause a panic, and then, people are going to start looting, and then war is going to happen all of a sudden, and, chaos. Yeah, it sucks. Something's gonna happen, then you can't tell anyone about it, and then it's like, I don't know, kind of like aliens, it's like, ooh, can't tell anybody about aliens, or because, panic would ensue somehow, or something, I don't know, those big stuff. Anyways, the countdown had begun. 2 months' time was all that remained for those on Earth's surface. Whoa, hold on, 2 months' time? I thought we had like a year or something. and 5 days were all that remained before I would enter the underground shelter. Rain filled the air. The sound of it beat against my eardrums, even shielded by an umbrella. Eyes closed, you could hear it, feel it, like you could feel the approach of the apocalypse as it brandished its claws. No, not all affected by the depressing surroundings. 3 female students chatted excitedly under the shelter of a storefront awning. A suit-clad office worker ran to escape the rain, his suitcase held overhead in a desperate bid to stay dry. Some teenagers passed around a basketball and roughhouse with each other, enjoying themselves despite the weather. Colorful blossoms of umbrellas moved forward in an endless rhythmic flow. A group of motorbikes sped by at that moment, splashing through puddles and spraying water in the faces of pedestrians. A flurry of curses rose in response, though the riders had already passed out of earshot. As the third motorbike sped past me, I felt a tug from behind, as if the tail of my shirt had caught on something. Or perhaps I should say, been caught by something. Either way, I could have freed myself with a single stride. Why not? Oh, okay, I was like, what happened? Perhaps the sensation was merely a trick of the wind and rain. Still, I looked over my shoulder. Oh. Hello. Wait, what's this arrow thing? Oh. Aww. Looks so cute and adorable and kind of sad. Wait, what if I pressed enter? Oh, okay. A girl had grabbed my shirt tail. She was standing without an umbrella under the pouring rain. Her hair was slick with rainwater and clung wetly to her skin, making its appearance when dried difficult to imagine. The drab lighting and unrelenting rain had seemed to wash the warmth from her frail body. She looked almost sickly pale, and her long eyelashes and full features lent her expressionless face a childish air. Her brown tank top stuck to her body, and one of its straps had slipped from her shoulder. No! Her clothes were translucent from the rain, to the point that even the outline of her plain underwear was visible. Really? Wow, that's a very see-through, clothes thing then. Clothing. I couldn't help but glance downwards. Her half-transparent skirt stuck to her thighs. She was almost unhealthily skinny. Not a bit of excess flab could be seen on her legs. At that moment, store signs of all shapes and colors flared to life against the haze. Even then, the girl still looked colorless, as if she had walked straight out of a black and white movie. She must be very pale. Wait, what? Her voice was weedy and fragmented, barely audible in the rain. Some people had voices that boomed to rival thunder. Others, like this girl, had voices that blended into wind and rain. I had no idea how to react. The girl's behavior was timid, not flirtatious, and I couldn't detect any subtle implication in her question. She came closer with her head lowered, revealing her milky, flawless neck. If this was intentional, clearly she knew perfectly well how to appeal to a man. Aww. She turned away, lips pursed as if she were about to cry. It was all too easy to guess what she was begging me to do, but shock prevented me from formulating an answer. Aww. Questions whirled through my mind. She looks young. Why would she be doing something like this? Is this some kind of hoax? I also still entertained the possibility that I had simply misunderstood her. As these jumbled thoughts rushed through my mind, she stood there quietly, looking like a small cat waiting to be fed. Droplets of rain fell from her bangs and slid down her exquisite nose and past the corners of her eyes. It looked as though she were crying, but trying her best to smile through her tears. Who had the heart to turn away from such an expression? She seemed to be struggling to keep that smile on her face. I realized I had sighed inadvertently, and she must have taken it as a sign I was about to decline. I extended my umbrella over her head. You might as well come with me. In reality, I had sighed because I knew that what I was about to do was taboo. It was? What's taboo? Wait, what do you mean by taboo? Such relationships should be simple and clear-cut. We would just, well, exchange benefits. Oh, so he's assuming that she's the lady of the night. It would be like haggling at a traditional market. Settle on a price, then take what you need. But I knew I had already lost as soon as sympathy arose in my heart. I had planned to bring her home so she could have a hot shower and a fresh change of clothes. That was all. But who knew whether that was what she needed? It was less than 6 days before I was to enter the shelter. It was probably okay to do something out of the ordinary. Wait, whoa, we have 6 days left. Wait, what happened? I thought we had a few months. Want to walk beside me? It would make it easier for me to hold the umbrella. The girl had lagged behind since we set out. If I wanted to hold the umbrella over her, I had to slow my walk to avoid pulling ahead. In turn, this caused her to slow down even more. It was an incredibly awkward way for two people to make their way down the street. As soon as the words left my mouth, I realized how unfriendly I had sounded. Perhaps the feeling of defeat that had gnawed at me since I decided to take this girl under my wing was affecting me. Wow, her voice is very low. Let me see if I can do something about that. She spoke in a whisper. It was funny that a girl who made money as she did would say such a thing. While I knew she was simply worried about getting my clothes wet, I still found it a bit ironic. It's fine. You have a change of clothes, I mentioned with my chin at the small bag she was carrying. Oh, motioned. I knew from past experience that girls in her line of work would usually bring a second set of clothes, but the bag was tiny. It didn't look like it could fit a full set.
可是是有内衣。
Oh. Her voice lured at the word underwear in an attempt to sound casual. Her self-consciousness only made her appear less experienced. And how about we go buy some clothes? Otherwise, what else are you going to wear later?
可是 我没有钱。
She stopped in her tracks with her hands clasped like a penitent child. She murmured, I have no money. Now that wasn't unexpected. I'll pay, just don't pick something ridiculously expensive. I was joking, of course. I wanted her to know that the new clothes were a gift. After all, I didn't have much time remaining on the surface. Why shouldn't I help out an innocent girl? Well, I mean, you're thinking that she's the lady of the night, so I don't know. Her expression didn't change, but she did mutter a barely audible thanks. How about this shop? It was one of those chain clothing stores that were everywhere downtown. The prices were reasonable, so regardless of what she picked, I wouldn't have to worry about breaking the bank. I patted the girl's shoulder lightly after asking the question. I could feel her warmth radiating through her skirt. It was a feeling that would inflame any man's passions. She flinched back at the contact, and I wondered whether she had just recently ran away from home to start a new life on the streets. I'd heard that dealing with first-timers could be awkward. I never had to do so before myself, but at that moment I found no doubt that it was true. After all, an older man and a drenched girl were a combination bound to turn heads, and the rainwater still dripping from the girl's skirt didn't help. She seemed a bit embarrassed by the situation as well, and didn't take long to find what she wanted. I followed her in and paid at the checkout. The clothes she picked were simple, even a little too cheap in my opinion. Huh. So, what's her story? I'm very curious. With her new clothes in hand, the girl followed me out into the rain once more. After some hesitation, she moved her bag to her other hand and linked her free arm with mine.
你不喜欢吗？
I'd been taken aback for just a moment, but she'd still picked up on it. I unconsciously ran my hand across my newly grown stubble. Nah, just a bit surprised, that's all.
Oh.
It was kind of dull to walk like this without making proper conversation. All the girls I'd done this with were outgoing, with an inexhaustible supply of topics and jokes to keep conversation flowing. I thought it came with the job, but now, for the first time, it was up to me to find something to say. What's your name? I mean, what do you want me to call you? She paused and mumbled something inaudible. Sorry, didn't catch that.
Airi.
Airi. Ah. Quite a common nickname. I couldn't tell from the pronunciation how the name was written exactly, but to commemorate the occasion, I arbitrarily decided it was written with rare and unusual characters. Airi, how old are you?
18，我带证件在身上。
Seemed perfectly aware that she looked too young to be working the streets for a living. From her response, it sounded like a touchy subject even. I see. I casually glanced over her pre-offered identification card and decided not to waste any time with further attempts at conversation. Huh. Well, I'm gonna end the episode here, everybody. The first episode of Companion. It's very interesting, I have to say. I did not expect this to be... Huh. Well, I mean, with the whole Doomsday thing, like, wow, that thing is coming up really quick and... Wow. Like, he just thinks that she's the lady of the night, but I don't think she is at all. There's something else to her story, and I want to find out more. So I hope you guys enjoyed Companion and are excited to find out what's gonna happen with this story. And you guys can check out this game for yourself. The link is down below in the descriptions. So if you guys enjoyed this episode, then please slime that like button and subscribe down below for more awesome videos. Thank you everybody for watching this episode, and you will hear me in the next one. Goodbye!